I remember I was getting changed into my pajamas, then out of nowhere, in the corner of my eye, I ended up seeing my friend's mom watching me change, and she saw me whip out my eggplant midway through, and she said, "Oh wow, it's a lot bigger than his father's." And at that moment, I had really no idea what was going on. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another really insane but embarrassing story. Now, today's story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 10 year. Now, in grade 10, I had a group called the Boys. Now, the Boys were just a bunch of guys that I would always hang out with back when I was in high school, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I think every guy has that like assorted friend group that basically just has a bunch of weird guys all together hanging out and getting into some crazy shenanigans. But I remember one time when I was walking my grade 10 year down the high school hallway, I ended up heading towards the cafeteria. And when I finally got to the cafeteria, I went to go sit with the boys, and we had this certain table that we would all sit in at like the corner of the cafeteria where no one would really bug us or, you know, be annoying. And as I got there, I remember I sat down with them and we started talking about school and other girls and basically how girls were annoying. And then out of nowhere, one of my friends ended up looking at me and ended up tapping on my shoulder saying, "Yo, Bubba, what are you doing this weekend, by the way?" "Oh, this weekend? Well, I don't think anything's happening. I think we're all just gonna be chilling at home playing Call of Duty. Why? What's going on?" "Oh, do you want to like maybe stay the night at my place? We could all like play video games at mine." At that moment, a lot of guys ended up refusing because they wanted to like, you know, go out and do something else. As for me, well, I didn't really have any plans, even though it was my grade 10 year, and my grade 10 year was one of the most like, you know, serious years where I would always go do the tango. Surprisingly, for some reason, that specific weekend, I actually really had nothing planned. So knowing this, I was like, okay, bet, you know what? I might as well just go hang out and be with him. So I remember after school that day, basically, I ended up telling all the guys that I'll be at his place, and I ended up, you know, going quickly back to mine, getting all the things I needed, and then afterwards, I ended up getting my backpack and started heading over. After my dad dropped me off at his place, I remember I was looking at his house, and to be honest with you, I started to realize that at this moment, even though me and this guy have been friends for like maybe 2 years out of, you know, the 4 years you are in high school, I never actually been to his house. So at that moment, I ended up, you know, heading to his front door, and right away when I knocked on it, his sister ended up opening the door saying, "Oh, are you my brother's friend?" Yeah, is he home?" "Yeah, he's in the other room." "Oh, okay. Are your parents home?" "What? Parents? No, I only have a mom." And she ended up basically waddling back to her room. Now this girl, she was easily like 5 or 6 years old. So before anyone thinks anything twisted, no, okay? No, I'm not crazy like that, okay? This ain't no Drake video. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember I ended up going up to my buddy's room, and me and him, we started playing video games and having fun. Then out of nowhere, we ended up hearing someone enter into the house. Now, I ended up looking at my friend when someone entered in, and I said, "Yo, is you expecting anyone else to come over?" "Oh, no, that's just my mom." "Oh, your mom's home?" "Well, yeah, she lives with me, dude. She's my mom." "Oh, no, I knew that. I was just, you know, I never met your parents." "Well, you mean just mom? I don't really have a dad." At that moment, when he said he didn't have a dad, I didn't want to get into that touchy subject because let's be real here. If we don't like girls with daddy issues, guys with daddy issues is not any better. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember me and him, we just kept playing video games in his room, and out of nowhere, we ended up seeing his mom just totally barge into his room, and she said, "Oh, honey, oh, who's this?" "Mom, this is my friend Bubba. Hi, nice to meet you." I ended up shaking her hand, trying to like show him responsible, and she just smiled and looked at me as if, you know, she had like an interest in me. I don't really know what it was. Like, she kind of like almost winked at me as well. Like, you know those smiles that girls give was like kind of flirtatious? It was one of those, and honestly, like, I found it really weird, but I didn't think too much of it because obviously it was my friend's mom. But I remember as I was shaking her hand though, and she was doing that weird face towards me, I will say this, my friend's mom was hot, okay? Like, she was actually like really attractive. I don't know if it was because she got Botox or a facelift, but I'm gonna say this, like, she was actually really, really hot. But after all that, I remember she ended up looking at both of us and she said, "Oh, well, okay, I'm gonna go get some cookies. Bubba, you're staying the night, right?" Yeah, I'm staying the night tonight." "Okay, well, I'm delighted to have you here." At that moment, she ended up leaving the room and closed the door. I remember my friend ended up looking at me and he's like, "Yo, so like, do you like introduce yourself like that to all moms you meet?" "Wait, what? What do you mean?" "Nah, like, that was kind of weird, bro. Not gonna lie." And he ended up just putting on his headset and just started playing his Xbox again. At that moment, I didn't really know what he meant by that, but I was just sitting behind him on the bed, just watching him play. And well, let's just say things get a lot weirder as the night goes on. Because I remember, as we're just sitting in there playing the whole time, I remember my friend's mom ends up coming back upstairs and ends up barging back into the room. For some reason, she doesn't like to knock. She just ends up entering any room. And she says, "Honey, you need to actually take a shower tonight. Remember, it's shower night for you." At that moment, I looked at my buddy and I'm like, "Really? You need your mom to remind you when you stink?" And at that moment, my friend was kind of embarrassed and he kind of just stood there going, "Mom, not now, okay? I'll take a shower after this game." And I remember after he said that, my friend's mom ends up looking at me and she says to me, "Bubba, do you also need a shower? Do I need to get a towel for you? Oh, no thanks. I take showers every morning. She ended up smiling and then winking at me before she walks away. And at that moment, my buddy ends up looking at me and he's like, do you actually shower every day? Like in the morning, like before school? Yeah, dude. I like to keep clean. Huh. Makes sense why it looks like you always swam to school. And he puts on his headset and just starts playing video games. At this moment, like honestly, I was kind of annoyed how my friend just kept making fun of me and his mom just kept, you know, being flirty with me. I guess not really, but you guys know what I'm going on with. But I think here's the craziest part of the story that I think all of you guys have been waiting for, because I remember after my buddy finished his game of team deathmatch on Call of Duty, he ended up getting up and started like, you know, preparing himself for the shower. He ended up picking up a new pair of clothes, new pair of underwear, socks, and then he ended up getting his towel and headed for the bathroom. Once he walked into the bathroom, he ended up closing the door, and right as this man closes the door and locks it, no joke, I thought in my mind, okay, why not I get changed as well for bed, because I had a pair of PJs that I brought. So I basically start getting ready. I take off my shirt, and then afterwards, out of nowhere, once again, his mom barges in saying, honey, are you in the... Oh. And literally at this moment, I had my pants off and I wasn't wearing my underwear because I was planning on changing it before I went to bed. And like, bro, this mom saw my entire eggplant hanging out and she looked at me and said, wow, Bubba, it's bigger than his dad. At that moment, I was like, bro, are you talking about my friend's dad? What, are you saying that my eggplant is bigger than... What? I said that in my head. Obviously, I didn't say it out loud and I just said, oh, thanks, I guess. And I ended up putting on my PJs. But right as I put on the pants for my PJs, I was still shirtless. And his mom ends up walking in and starts like kind of like looking at me and told me to sit down beside her. And she started like telling me like the story about like how her and like apparently like my friend's dad ended up divorcing because like she like didn't like support her career in like the online industry of like adult content, which I'm not gonna get into. But basically, my friend's mom was on the Devil's Hub, which makes sense why he didn't really invite people over. But going on, I remember at that moment, I ended up just saying some nice things. And I thought the first thing that came to my head was, oh, well, like you should be able to support any career you go down. Everyone needs to work for a reason. Yeah, basic guy stuff advice that I guess I gave to her. And she, for some reason, liked that. And one thing led to another. As I'm sitting there shirtless, she ends up coming close to me and me and her made out. We made out and she started reaching for my pants. But right as she was about to reach for my eggplant, no joke, my friend ends up coming in with his towel on. And he looks at me and his mom on his bed, about to do the Devil's Tango. And he says, Mom, Bubba, what are you guys doing? Bro, what are you doing to my mom, bro? At that moment, I stood up and I'm like, bro, listen, it's not what you think. I swear. Bro, I knew you were a player, but like, seriously, man? At that moment, my friend's mom ends up looking at me and she says, oh, so you're a player. Bruh. Out of all the things you could have heard, that's the specific thing that you cared about the most? That I was a player? At that moment, I was really just weirded out and I'm like, okay, you know what? This is getting way too much. So I ended up calling my dad on my phone in the other room and I ended up telling him to come pick me up because there was no way I wanted to be in that household after that whole crazy conundrum. Luckily, there was no dad to, you know, beat me up. But honestly, one thing was for sure, after that day, me and my friend, we decided to keep a promise to each other never to tell the story out and basically, you know, pretend it never happened because the guy shouldn't know that his mom was a hub star. But I'm gonna be real though, that was so long ago and honestly, today I was thinking about it and if I ever saw that mom again, I would definitely do the Devil's Tango with her. Wouldn't you? Because if not, then just fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.